Hey everyone, and welcome back to Coffeesodes.
Mm-hmm.
This is our 6th episode.
Episode 6.
I know, and I am so excited for today's deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are tackling something that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Okay.
Edible packaging.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, have you ever heard of this?
I have.
So finishing your chips and then eating the bag.
Yeah. Like, what?
What?
I know.
So we're going to be diving into a scientific review article all about it.
Cool.
The history, the science, and whether this futuristic food wrap is really as practical as it sounds.
It really captures the imagination, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, imagine a world where packaging just disappears after you're done with the food.
Right.
No more plastic waste piling up.
Yeah. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Is this just some new trendy invention, or does edible packaging have a history?
This might surprise you,
Okay.
but edible packaging isn't new at all. The concept has been around for centuries. Back in the 12th century, the Chinese were coating citrus fruits in wax to help preserve them.
Oh, wow.
And in 15th century Japan, they were making films from soy milk protein to rat food.
So it's like ancient food tech meeting modern innovation?
Exactly. Even in 19th century America, we see the first patent for gelatin film designed to protect meat products.
Oh.
So the idea has been simmering for a while.
That begs the question, if edible packaging has been around for so long,
Yeah,
why did it seemingly disappear?
right.
And why is it making a comeback now?
Well, the rise of plastics in the 20th century really changed the game.
Oh, yeah?
Plastic was cheap, durable, and convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as you probably know,
Yeah,
we're facing a global plastic pollution crisis.
we are.
Plus, recycling isn't always as effective as we'd like it to be.
Wow.
So people are looking for more sustainable solutions, and edible packaging is stepping back into the spotlight.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Consumers are way more environmentally conscious these days.
Yeah, they are.
And the idea of just eating your packaging instead of tossing it is pretty appealing.
It is.
But when we say edible packaging, what exactly are we talking about?
There are two main types: edible films and edible coatings.
Okay.
Imagine a fruit roll-up, but maybe not as tasty, at least for now.
Okay.
That gives you an idea of an edible film, a solid sheet you can peel off.
Gotcha.
Edible coatings, on the other hand, are applied directly to food as a liquid,
Right.
which then dries to form a protective layer.
So chocolate-covered strawberries are like a delicious example of edible coating in action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a classic example. The chocolate coating not only adds flavor, but also acts as a barrier to protect the fruit.
Okay, now I'm really picturing this.
Yeah,
But how do you actually make these edible films and coatings?
right.
Is it some super high-tech process?
It can be,
Okay.
but it doesn't have to be. There are two main methods: wet process and dry process.
Okay.
Think of it like cooking. You might bake a cake or fry an egg. Different techniques for different results.
So different strokes for different edible folks.
Exactly. Wet processes, often using a technique called casting, are great for small-scale production.
Okay.
Imagine spreading a thin layer of batter on a pan and letting it dry.
Yeah.
That's the basic idea.
Okay.
But for mass production, you need something more efficient, and that's where dry processes like extrusion come in.
So extrusion is kind of like a food 3D printer churning out perfectly shaped edible wrappers.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Really?
It's all about heating the ingredients and squeezing them through a mold to create specific shapes, and it's much faster for making large quantities.
Okay, that makes sense. But I'm guessing not all ingredients can handle the heat of extrusion.
You're right.
Yeah.
Some ingredients are more delicate and would break down under those conditions, so choosing the right method really depends on the ingredients and the final product you're aiming for.
So let's talk about those ingredients.
Okay.
What actually goes into these edible wrappers? I mean, it's not just about being edible, right? It has to function like, well, packaging.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, good.
A good edible wrapper needs to be a multitasker. It has to act as a barrier against moisture, oxygen, and sometimes even oil. And of course, you want it to have decent strength so it doesn't fall apart the moment you touch it.
But let's be honest, it can't just be functional.
Yeah.
It also has to be somewhat palatable.
Right.
Nobody wants to eat a wrapper that tastes like cardboard.
Absolutely. The sensory experience matters.
Right.
Luckily, nature provides us with a pretty amazing toolbox of ingredients that can pull off this balancing act of function and flavor. We're talking about polysaccharides, proteins, and lipids, each with its strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, let's break that down. Polysaccharides, proteins, lipids.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like a science class. Can you give us the edible packaging version of Explain It Like I'm 5?
Think of it like building a house.
Okay,
Polysaccharides are like the strong foundation. They provide structure and strength to the wrapper.
gotcha.
Cellulose, chitosan, starch, these are all plant-based powerhouses that create a sturdy base.
So those are the workhorses, the backbone of the edible wrapper.
Yes.
What about the proteins?
Proteins are like the walls of our edible house. They create a barrier to keep things in or out. Whey, casein, gelatin.
Okay.
They excel at blocking gases and keeping the food fresh.
Okay, so far so good. But no house is complete without a roof,
Yeah.
right? That's where the lipids come in.
Exactly. Lipids are the water-repellent layer, like the roof protecting our house from the elements.
Okay.
Think waxes and essential oils. They help prevent moisture from seeping in or out.
Ah, so it's all about teamwork.
It is.
Each ingredient plays a crucial role in creating a functional
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully tasty edible wrapper.
Precisely. And the beauty of it is that you can combine different ingredients to create composite films.
Yeah.
Like mixing and mashing building materials to create the perfect house for your food.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about picking one ingredient. It's about finding the perfect blend to the specific food you're wrapping. What a cool concept.
It is. It really is like culinary architecture, creating the ideal protective shell for each food.
Okay, so we've got our foundation, our walls, and our roof, all made from these natural ingredients.
Right.
Are there any other, secret ingredients that go into these edible wrappers?
There are,
Okay.
just like you might add spices to enhance a dish, there are additives that can tweak the properties of edible packaging.
Okay.
For example, plasticizers are like adding oil to bread dough.
Okay.
They make the film more flexible and less likely to crack.
So they're like the flexibility factor in the edible packaging recipe.
Exactly. And then you have emulsifiers,
Nah?
which are essential when you're working with ingredients that don't normally mix well, like oil and water.
Right.
They help create a smooth, stable blend, ensuring all the ingredients are evenly distributed.
It's like they're the peacekeepers of the edible packaging world,
Yeah.
making sure everyone gets along.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And then there are the additives that really boost the protective power of edible packaging. Antimicrobials and antioxidants.
Okay.
Antimicrobials, like certain essential oils, help keep food fresh by inhibiting the growth of bacteria and mold.
So they're like a natural defense system built right into the wrapper.
Precisely. And antioxidants help slow down the process of oxidation, which can cause food to spoil.
Yeah.
It's like having a tiny invisible shield protecting your food from the ravages of time.
This is all so fascinating.
It is.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
how safe is it to eat these wrappers?
Yeah.
Are we talking about FDA-approved ingredients here?
That's a very important question, and the answer is yes.
Okay.
Most edible packaging is made from ingredients that are already recognized as safe for consumption.
Right.
We already eat things like starch gelatin and beeswax, but the key is making sure these ingredients are processed and handled according to food safety standards, just like any other food product.
Right. So it's all about following those same rigorous safety protocols.
Exactly.
But what about potential allergens?
Right.
I know food labeling has to be super clear about things like nuts and dairy. Does the same apply to edible packaging?
Absolutely. Just like with any food, clear labeling is crucial for edible packaging.
Okay.
Consumers need to know exactly what's in the wrapper so they can avoid potential allergens. Imagine someone with a peanut allergy accidentally taking a bite of a wrapper containing peanut protein.
Oh, no.
That could have serious consequences.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Transparency is key, especially when it comes to food safety.
Exactly. And speaking of transparency, let's talk about one of the biggest reasons why edible packaging is generating so much buzz.
Okay.
Its environmental impact.
Oh, yeah?
Unlike traditional plastic packaging, which can linger in landfills for hundreds of years,
Right.
edible packaging is biodegradable, meaning it breaks down naturally in the environment.
So no more guilt-inducing plastic waste piling up.
Right.
That's a huge win for the planet.
It is, but like any emerging technology, edible packaging isn't without its challenges.
Okay.
One of the biggest hurdles is its sensitivity to temperature and moisture.
Right.
These wrappers are designed to break down, which is great for the environment,
Yeah.
but it also means they might not hold up as well as plastic in humid conditions or extreme temperatures.
So maybe not the best choice for packing snacks for a day at the beach.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You might end up with a soggy mess.
Okay.
Another challenge is that even with edible packaging, you might still need some outer packaging for protection during shipping and storage.
Yeah.
Think about a box of chocolates.
Okay.
You wouldn't want the edible wrappers melting and sticking together in transit.
Right. So it's not a complete elimination of packaging altogether.
Right.
but it could significantly reduce our reliance on plastic.
Yes.
Are there any companies out there actually using edible packaging on a commercial scale?
There are, and some of them are coming up with really innovative solutions.
Such as
Wikisol Designs, for example, has created an edible film called WikiPearl.
WikiPearl.
Imagine a tiny edible water balloon that you can pop in your mouth.
Whoa.
The outer layer dissolves, releasing the liquid inside.
That's wild. It's like something out of a futuristic food court.
I know, right?
What else is out there?
Another company making waves is Notpla, based in the UK.
Right.
They've developed a whole range of edible alternatives to plastic packaging, including edible straws, sachets for condiments, and even edible films for wrapping dry goods.
Okay, so edible packaging isn't just a concept, it's actually starting to appear in the real world.
Exactly, and the research continues to push the boundaries of what's possible.
That's really cool.
Scientists are experimenting with new ingredients like seaweed and agricultural waste to create films and coatings with even better properties.
It sounds like edible packaging is having a real moment.
It is.
But what about the cost? Is this going to be a luxury item that only a few can afford? Or could it become more mainstream and accessible to everyone?
That's the big question right now. Edible packaging is generally more expensive to produce than traditional packaging.
So it's still a bit of a splurge for the eco-conscious consumer. But I imagine, as with any new technology, as demand grows and production scales up, the costs will eventually come down.
Exactly. It follows the typical pattern of innovation.
Right.
Early adoption comes at a premium, but over time it becomes more affordable and accessible to the masses.
So is edible packaging the silver bullet solution to our plastic woes?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Is it really the sustainable future of food packaging?
Yeah.
It definitely has the potential to be a major game changer.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool in the fight against plastic pollution and food waste. But there are still some hurdles to overcome,
Such as?
like improving durability, scaling up production efficiently, and making it more cost-effective.
It sounds like we're still in the early stages of this edible packaging revolution, but the possibilities are incredibly exciting.
They are.
What stands out to you as the most promising aspect of this technology?
What I find most fascinating is the sheer ingenuity of these edible solutions. From dissolving water bubbles to seaweed-based straws, it's incredible to see how creative minds are tackling this challenge. And imagine the possibilities for the future.
Yeah.
What if grocery stores had bulk bins where you could fill your own edible containers?
Now that would be a game changer.
It would.
It would completely revolutionize the way we shop for groceries.
Exactly. And it's not just about reducing waste.
Right.
Edible packaging also has the potential to add nutritional value to food products.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a wrapper that's not only delicious, but also fortified with vitamins or minerals.
Wow. So you could be getting an extra boost of nutrition just from eating your wrapper.
You could.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the world of edible packaging, I'm curious, where do you see this technology fitting into your life? Will you be seeking out edible packaging options the next time you're at the grocery store?
I'm definitely going to be paying more attention to packaging options from now on, and I'm eager to see how this technology evolves in the coming years. It's clear that edible packaging is more than just a novelty.
Right.
It's a potential solution with real-world applications.
It's been an eye-opening journey for me too, and I have to say I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the future of food packaging.
Me too.
Who knew wrappers could be so fascinating
I know.
and potentially delicious?
Right.
It really is mind-blowing to think about the potential here.
It is.
We've talked about reducing waste and adding nutritional value.
Yeah.
But what about the whole sensory experience of eating?
Right.
Could edible packaging change the way we think about food and flavor?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Imagine a savory cracker with an edible film that enhances the salty flavor.
Okay, yeah.
Or a piece of fruit coated in a wrapper that adds a hint of sweetness. We could be moving beyond just neutral-tasting wrappers to ones that actively complement the food they protect.
So it becomes part of the culinary experience.
Oh,
It's not just a functional necessity.
Right.
That opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly. And think about the implications for portion control and individualized flavors. What if you could buy a multi-pack of snacks where each piece has a slightly different flavored wrapper?
So you could have a variety pack where the packaging itself provides the variety.
Exactly.
That's brilliant. No more fighting over who gets the barbecue chips and who's stuck with plain.
Precisely.
Okay, I'm officially sold on the concept.
Good.
Let's get real for a moment.
Okay.
What are the biggest challenges facing edible packaging right now?
Right.
What's standing in the way of this becoming the norm?
Well, scalability is a major factor.
Oh.
We've seen some incredible innovations.
Yeah.
But producing edible packaging on a mass scale to meet the demands of the global food industry is a whole different ballgame.
So it's a question of ramping up production while maintaining quality and consistency.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of infrastructure. The food industry is built around traditional packaging systems.
Yeah.
Switching to edible packaging would require significant changes in manufacturing processes, transportation, and storage.
It's like we're talking about a paradigm shift, not just swapping out materials.
You got it. And of course, consumer acceptance is key.
Yeah.
People need to be on board with the idea of eating your packaging.
Right.
There might be some initial hesitation or even a yuck factor to overcome.
I guess it's all about education and exposure.
It is.
Once people understand the benefits,
Right.
less waste, potential health benefits, whole new flavor dimension,
Uh-huh.
I think the yuck factor will fade away.
I agree. And as edible packaging becomes more commonplace, the novelty will wear off and it'll just become part of our everyday experience with food.
So to wrap up our deep dive into the world of edible packaging, I have to ask,
Yeah.
what's your final takeaway?
Okay.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important takeaway is that edible packaging represents a fundamental shift in the way we think about our relationship with food and the environment. It's a reminder that innovation can come from unexpected places, and that even something as simple as a wrapper can be a catalyst for positive change.
That's a beautiful thought, and I think it perfectly captures the spirit of your power. Coffeesodes, exploring these fascinating topics that make us think differently about the world around us. Thanks for joining us on this delicious deep dive. We'll see you next time for another cup of knowledge and inspiration.